So you use the M5x20 screws for the framework. When you put this on, make sure that these white pillars are at the top. So don't put it that way. Just make sure that's at the top. The stepper motor on this one will be at the bottom. You get tools with it, so you can use these. Just move it into the camera so you can see what I'm doing. It does actually say the right hand side on there, and it also says left hand side on there. What you want to do as well is make sure that those two holes in there are facing you, because that's where the control panel goes onto. Just put the other one. And then you do exactly the same with this bit of frame. Screws go in to that hole. There's only one hole it can go into anyway. So you end up with the frame done like that. Once this is done, you start putting the legs on. So these are the legs which go on. And the screws you use are M520 again. So these can only go on one way. Just try to do this so I can show you. They basically clip on like that. And then the screw go into there. And then you do exactly the same for all four sides. So that's all the 4 legs on. So I forgot, there's actually 2 holes in the legs, and you have to put the M5 times 10. They go in those holes. So you end up with 2 screws in the legs like that. Oh, that's the legs on now. Just something to take a note of is if you find that the last screw is not going in as really tight, just loosen the first ones off, because what's probably happens is the bar is not completely straight, and I'll loosen that one off, and then just loosen that one and that one, and then the screw will go in. It won't feel as tight. So that's just one thing to look out for. So now it's time to put the gantry on. This sits in the middle. When you put those on, make sure that those 2 holes, or those 2, go to this side, so to the left side with the 4-stepper motor, because this sits on top like this. And make sure that those 3 holes are to this side. So what you make sure when you put this middle bar on, those 2 little holes are to the side and facing away from you. Otherwise you're going to do what I did. I put them like that, and I had to take the whole gantry off and redo the whole lot again, because these 2 holes are for this to go on, which is for your cable tidies. So just a warning before you put it together, make sure those holes are away from you, facing that way. What I'm going to do is this will sit on like that, so it hangs down. The 2 wheels are on the top, so to put it on, just pull the wire down and slip it on. So you basically end up with this. You can see it. And I'll show you the back. So now it's time to put the belt on. The teeth go towards this metal bar, so you've got the flush side facing out. This next bit can be a bit fiddly. This needs to go on this wheel here. You can see it. It needs to go underneath. So that's now on the wheel. As you can see, the belt actually goes around the wheel. So when you've got the belt around there, the next thing is to use these. These are M450s, and they actually go underneath. It's easier to actually do this upside down, so if you just hold the bar, just turn it around. Once you get the one in, the other one goes in pretty easy. So just those two in. So make sure you don't get the wires jammed up when you're putting this bar on. Next, we have to take the tensioner apart. So you unscrew everything. And push this out. And you have to take the wheel out inside. So to do that, smaller one. And that's what you need. And that will go on the wheel. So this you put on the belt, like that. So you take that and then you push this back into the wheel. And then put your screw back in. So once you've got your screw in, you get your tensioner case in. Lift this up, because otherwise it gets caught on that, because it needs to go all the way to the back. And then you get your tensioner screw and screw that back in. So it looks like that. So once you've got the tensioner on, you need to put those two screws in, and they are M420s. So they just go into the two holes on the tensioner. And then just make sure your tensioner works. So in the manual it actually tells you to put this on first, which goes underneath, similar to that one, but I did it because it's easier to get the tensioner on. So now I'll put this in underneath. Turn this over, just put this in. Okay, you don't want it too tight because it squeezes this up against the bar. There is actually alignment marks, so you can actually line it up to make sure these little marks on there, so you can actually see where the alignment is. So once you've got your frame and your gantry set up, it's time to put the laser head on. So that's where your laser comes out of. That's the top. You can only really go on one way. What you do is those will slide into this slot here. So you're going to need this, which is the hand screw, which will go into the hole there on the side, and this is so you can adjust the laser. So that will keep the laser to whatever setting you've got on, light burn. So the next thing you want to do is put on your cable holders, which are these, and you have to use the M3 8x2 screws, and this sits here. You have two little holes. Turn this round so you can see what I'm doing. So next is your cable tie or cable holder, which goes at the front, and again you're using the M3x6. and that's that one on. So next is the motherboard or control box. This one's got a fan on the back, and these need to be up. It'll only go on one way because of the screws, and the screws used for that are M3x2. So this fixes on, there's two holes, one there and one there, and the screws going from behind. The screws are in there like that, so the motherboard sits like that. So next is your holder. This holds the focus gadget thingy, and this just clips in. You just push it and it clips in, and then that will sit in like so. So once you've got your box on, you put the cable into the cable, and you use the cable ties to tie the cable up, which I'm not going to do now, to connect it all up. So this will go into the laser, so it's the one with the really thin, and this goes into the laser head, and they can only plug in one way. So this is your x-axis. So on here they're actually labelled Y, Y1, Y2 and X. So the ones underneath the motors are stepper motors, which you can see here. They plug directly into the stepper motor here, and the X goes on the top. And then the Y1, that goes onto this one here at the bottom. And then what you have left is you have your Y1 and your the Y2, the Y2, and they just plug in together. And then they sit wide up. There is a cable tie at the back of the laser as well, so you can tie that on. Then you can cable tie these to this here, which I'll do. I'm not going to do it now, but I just want to show you how to wire it up. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please give it a like and please subscribe.